Okay, so let's apply this idea of a congruency statement. So here's what I'm going to do, all right? I'm going to just take a second and then look at my congruency statement and match up what's congruent to what, all right? I think that's actually going to save us more time. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pick purple, all right? And I'm going to start with P and X, all right? So if you see those two match up, I'm going to state then P is congruent to X, all right? Q, so I'm going to do a double swoop, is congruent to Y. And then R is congruent to Z. Okay, so that's a good start. Now let's look at our sides. So I have PQ, all right, matches up with XY, so those are corresponding, okay? So I'm gonna have PQ is congruent to XY. I'm gonna have QR match up with YZ, so match those as congruent, and then PR would be congruent to XZ, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the first one. So it says to find the length of XZ. So if we look at XZ, all right, by itself, no measurement there, but it's congruent to PR, right? And if we know that PR has a length of 10, then I know that XZ also has to have a length of 10. All right, next one it says, is triangle PQR a right triangle? And we can answer that question because if you look at Q and Y, they're congruent. And if Y is 95 degrees, that means Q also has to be 95 degrees, right? So would that make PQR a right triangle? The answer to that is no, because we don't have enough room for it to be another 90-degree angle in there, right? All right, next one says, if PQ has a length of 12, then it says, what is the length of YZ? Okay, so to be honest, guys, this one's a trick question. All right, it says if PQ is equal to 12, all right, what is the length of YZ? We actually don't have enough information to state that, right? Because PQ is congruent to XY, right? And if I'm looking at QR, all right, that's congruent to YZ, all right? This is not enough information. Okay, so not enough information. And now the last one says, if angle R is 40 degrees, what is the measure of angle P, right? So I now have in there, I have 95, I have 40. So then if I add those two together, all right, and then subtract that from 180, I would get 45. So that angle is 45 degrees. Okay. All right, let's move to the next one. All right, so this one says find each value. So I need to find X, Y, Z, and W. All right. So if we look at, again, our congruency statement, this time I have 4 letters because I have a quadrilateral. All right. So let's start with B. So if we look at B, all right, B is congruent to R. So I'm going to mark that. So B is congruent to R. So to find X, all I'm going to do is set those equal to one another. All right. So I'm going to do 2X plus 9 equals 49. All right, so I'm going to get 2x is equal to 40, which means that x is equal to 20. All right, so there we go. X is equal to 20. There's my first variable, okay? All right, now let's look at the fact that we have angle C congruent to angle S. All right, so let's mark that anyway. So angle C is congruent to angle S. That doesn't really help us, okay? Then we have angle D is congruent to angle T. So I have angle D right here. I'm going to do 3 swoops, congruent to angle T. And so I'm going to set 2y minus 31 equal to y plus 11. All right, so solving, I'm going to subtract the y. I'm going to get y minus 31 is equal to 11. Add that over. Y is equal to 42. Okay, let's find Z now, all right? Now, if we look at Z, let's start with ED, all right? So we have ED right here, or DE, either one, all right? That matches up, that's corresponding with TU. So if we look at those sides, all right, I have ED right here, congruent to TU. I'm going to set 3Z plus 10 equal to z plus 16. All right, so solving, all right, I'm going to get 2z plus 10 equal to 16. Subtract that 10 over. 2z is equal to 6. Z is equal to 3. All right, and then now last one, just to double check, I think we probably have a good idea, but I'm looking at BC. All right, that matches up with RS. So I'm going to state that the side length of 4W minus 7 equals, all right, 2W plus 13. So I'm going to do 4W minus 7 equals 2W plus 13. Solving, I'm going to get 2W equals 20, which means that W is equal to 10. Okay. All right. Now, last thing before we I'm going to pause this, all right, is when you're determining congruence, so what we're about to do is we're about to get into a proof, okay? So it says, in order to prove a polygon's as congruent, all right, you have to prove all corresponding sides as congruent and all corresponding angles as congruent. So let's keep that in mind, all right, when we come back and we do our proof.